Welcome back guys, and today I've got some extra overpowered Skylanders for you. This is the third part in the series, so you should check out the previous parts if you haven't already. Just like last time, I won't be including superchargers or senseis in this video either, since all superchargers are good with their vehicles and the senseis all have a sky cheat that makes them overpowered. Now, let's get to some overpowered Skylanders in no particular order. There are a couple of different Skylanders who have the ability to stun people with their electric attack. But most of these don't have splash damage or don't have that much range. Except for Whirlwind. On a cloud pass she can connect up to 3 clouds together with lightning, which she can summon anywhere. If you place these correctly, then you literally have a wall that does ludicrous damage and keeps anyone that touches it in place. But that's not all. Her clouds will also shoot out more rainbows that can strike enemies very far away from her, which is just insane. Combined with the stunning effect and the insane DPS, this truly makes her an overpowered Skylander. Now, this next one might seem a little biased, but I believe that Hot Dog is incredibly strong. And that's because of one reason. This massive wall! If Whirlwind could make something as good as a wall, then Hot Dog makes something better than a wall. This thing does incredible damage, it's very fast to set up, it's very large, it does knockback, and it moves! On top of that, Hot Dog is the only projectile character that has combos as far as I know, which makes him really fun to play as. And with his Soul Gem, you can even set up traps that are very powerful and keep the enemies at a distance, so you have more time to set up his firewalls. I do have to admit that I haven't played with his combo path yet, and it does seem really fun. But I do think his overpowered wall is a better option and definitely worth going for. In the last video, I talked about the best swap combination, which was Magna Shift, but he isn't as good against bosses because you can't really throw them off the map. But this next combination will easily shred to any boss without problems. For the top half, I present to you Rattleshake. At first he seems like a slightly weaker version of Magna Charge, but he has this one little threat. This mini snake does some insane damage over time, but it also slows the enemies that it hits, which also includes bosses. And since there's mostly only one of them, then that means as long as he's deployed, that the boss is incredibly slow and taking constant damage. Combined with the decently high DPS, he will destroy bosses very quickly. And I haven't even spoken about his Soul Gem yet, which makes you only take 50% of the damage from the next hit with a cooldown of around 10 seconds. And if you're not taking damage often, then this is just an HP doubler. But what really made me choose Rattleshake is the combination between him and this bottom half. And there's definitely a reason why no normal Skylander has 2 minions. It's Rubble Rouser. Now, don't get me wrong, I do believe that Rubble is trash. But Rouser? He can stay in the ground for extreme amounts of time, and unlike other Skylanders who can dig underground, he's invincible during it. And while he's underground, his minions deal all the damage, because yes, he has minions. And if you combine that with Rattle's minion, you have insane DPS where you're unable to take a single point of damage. But with most of these Skylanders, they're weak when they emerge from the ground. But Rubble Rouser is invincible while doing that too! And once you're back above ground, you can immediately get back under, with barely a second where you're able to get hit. Now, combine both of these halves together and you have a minion summoning and high damage machine that's invincible 99% of the time. This also makes Rattle's Soul Gem insane, because for those few seconds where you're vulnerable, you only take half the damage, and then you go back underground, where you just charge it up again. And if you haven't realized it, the gameplay you've been watching is me beating Trap Team Nightmare Chaos with Rattle Rouser. And if that doesn't convince you that he's overpowered, then I don't know what will. Our next Skylander is not a character who uses very powerful minions to torment his enemies. And his name is Crypt King. Crypt King is a really good trap master for both enemies and bosses, but one ability made me consider him for this list. The Bees. Not the bees! Not the bees! Ah! If you choose a swamp summoning path, they can do insane damage if you fully charge them and give them a whack to power them up, which is perfect for dealing constant damage to bosses. And since he's a trap master, he deals 50% extra damage to them. So you can just focus on dodging while resummoning your bees when they disappear. Oh, and they also heal you after disappearing. That's just insane because you can just spam the attack to get to full health immediately. And they're even good outside of bosses, since they stun the enemies they're hitting. But to be honest, his Lord of the Sword path is probably the best option for regular enemies, which is honestly also really good, since you get the extra armor and damage after defeating an enemy. But most importantly, it also gives you some really fun combos, which is probably why most people would choose this path. All of this combined makes him certainly a very fun and overpowered Skylander. And there you have it, another batch of overpowered Skylanders. Should I do a part 4? If you think so, then comment what Skylander you think is overpowered. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when it comes out. Also a huge shout out to Duckmaster for once again getting the music right from the previous video. And comment where the music in this video is from to get a shout out in the next one. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.